Why don't they build more buildings like this? Coming up on Architecture Codex.
Architecture CodeX. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
When people see it for the first time, even in pictures, the reaction is amazement and almost universal admiration. And I was no different. Casa Mila in Barcelona by Antoni Gaudí is an appealing vision of architecture that defeats the concept of architectural style. It is beautiful and hypnotic. I'm Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture Codex. What? You want more? I mean, the building is beautiful. It's sort of self-evident. Is it really necessary to say anything else? Okay, I'll come up with more material. Barcelona, or Barcelona, is Antoni Gaudí's city, and his works punctuate the metropolis. We covered Sagrada Familia in Architecture Codex video number 2. But there are many other works, including Parc Güell and lots of houses. Some historians classify his work as Cantillon modernism, as if it needed to be placed in a style category. But that's just silly. Let's just call it Gaudí. Records keeping was sloppy in 1852 when Gaudí was born, somewhere in Catalonia. But the family eventually settled in Redon, just outside of Barcelona. Antoni was the youngest of 5 children and one of 3 who survived to adulthood. Even then, he might be described as feeble, relying ultimately on adopting a vegetarian diet and his strong Catholic faith to give him strength. His weak body did not stop him from exploring the Catalonia and southern France regions on foot or on horseback. Gaudí fulfilled his compulsory military service and began studying architecture, graduating at the age of 26. Gaudí was apparently an average student, and it is reported that upon giving him his degree, the head of the architecture school in Barcelona said, "We are either giving this title to a fool or a genius. Time will show." His first significant commission was a house, Casa Vicens. It has elements that are Moorish and Persian, at the time considered Oriental, but with Gaudí's unique interpretation. Like much of his work, it contained a lot of glazed ceramics for finished decoration. And unlike the modernist European movement that was emerging at this time, Gaudí embraced decoration, finding his roots in organic forms, much more like the Art Nouveau movement at the time. The owner, Manuel Vicens, and Gaudí were friends before he commissioned the house, which was to be a summer place in Gracia outside of Barcelona proper. Gaudí finished the design by 1880, but it was not built until 1885. In that time, with almost no major projects completed, Gaudí was awarded the commission to design and build Sagrada Familia. Gaudí was only 31 years old at the time, and as I said, without any real major architectural projects completed. So it appears his talent and his charm was sufficient in getting the commission. It probably helped that Gaudí had joined a number of important social and religious fraternities, but the bulk of his famous residential projects occurred after he had gotten the commission for that immense church. And with each project, his unique style was promoted and his acclaim increased. Gaudí died a few days after a tram accident in 1926 at the age of 73. In 1905, newlyweds Pierre Mila and Roser Segimon commissioned Gaudí to design their house with rental apartments above. The building was completed in 1910, but not occupied until 1912. Of interest to me, at least, was that the city council had to approve the demolition of the old house and the new design, and Gaudí had to self-certify the building as safe for occupancy. While officially called Casa Mila, it got its derisive name, La Pedrera, the stone quarry, because it was a massive limestone edifice. The design was unique because of the undulating stone appearance, which is near impossible to draft prior to computers. That is why Gaudí often worked in models, clay molds, and plaster casts to illustrate his complex forms. These forms are very reminiscent of the forms of Montserrat, which are wind-worn stone formations. So this fits in with Gaudí's organic modernism. According to Jean Duval, his Torre Glorieuse was inspired by the same mountain forms, but I called that out as complete and total nonsense in Architecture Codex video number 88. This kind of work is labor-intensive and hard to plan fully in advance, and therefore it always takes more time and costs a lot more than anyone expects. Most clients would not tolerate that on a project even if they were getting amazing art. That is why you rarely see this kind of building anywhere in the world. The people of Barcelona ridiculed the design at first because it was different, and European society was very proper at this time. Gaudí's design featured taller elements, which he built, but the city had them demolished since they exceeded official height regulations. There were apparently many other building code violations, but I have no specifics, so I cannot say if Gaudí's construction was simply too new and too different to be understood by your standard building bureaucrat. This is possibly why Gaudí himself had to certify the building as safe. Eventually, the city gave up, agreeing apparently that the building was just too special, and the rules were antithetical to the beauty of the design. The design was also to feature more Catholic symbolism, including a statue of Mary and symbols of the Rosary. But during its construction in 1909, there was a week of anti-Catholic riots known as Semana Tragica, Week of Tragedy, and Mila decided not to add these features to his home. Gaudí worked with his colleague, Josep Maria Jajul. Look, I'm awful at these pronunciations, and trying to do it in Catalanese makes it even worse. But they worked together on the construction, and Jajul did much of the iron work. I've always found the ribbons of metal on the balconies make me hungry for fettuccine. The site consists of buildings around a central courtyard with an automobile garage below, an innovation at the time. The main residence occupies the first floor, but above are about 20 apartments. The roof is its own parc gué, with its sculptural forms, each chimney a unique construction. It is sometimes called the Garden of the Warriors, as the decoration looks like military helmets. An elevator took the residents to their apartments, and so the stairs were primarily for service. Back in the early 1980s, when I was there, I could easily wander into the courtyard and up the stairs without anyone stopping me. But that kind of access is just not possible today. You have to go on an organized tour. And back in the 80s, before the restoration, a lot of the original colors that Gaudí had used had been painted over. Still, the building was impactful and very impressive. The attic is shaped by parabolic arches, often called Catalan vaults. The parabola is the most efficient arch form, putting all of the compression into the base support, unlike the ubiquitous Roman round-top arch. The floor plans are equally undulating, causing Rosaire Segemon to complain to Gaudí that there was no place to put her apparently upright Steinway piano. It is reported that Gaudí responded, "So play the violin." As a more practical solution, Gaudí designed custom furniture, but most of it had been removed from the main floor apartment over the years. The building was neglected over the decades, and the original owner sold it in 1946, although Rosaire lived on the main floor as a widow until 1964. Parts of the building were changed or went missing. Major restoration occurred in the late 1980s. When people see it for the first time, even in pictures, the reaction is amazement and almost universal admiration. And I was no different. Casa Mila in Barcelona by Antoni Gaudí is an appealing style of architecture that almost defeats the very concept of architectural style. It is beautiful and hypnotic. I am Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture Codex. Is that better?